Right then, what is today's topic? I wanted to talk about getting old. And I wanted to talk about how it seems rather unfair, really. A lot of people say getting old is a privilege. I'm not so sure about it. I really think sometimes getting old is more of a burden. Why would it be a privilege? Because you keep on living. That's the reward. You just wake up every morning and you keep on struggling and you keep on falling apart. I'm not sure that's such a big reward. I'm not trying to be on a major downer here, but I think it's very difficult to grow old gracefully. You do leave bits behind, your mind slows down, your body starts disobeying you, the rudeness, right? You get hurt more easily, you get tired faster, you start getting some weird aches and illnesses. It seems really that life takes a lot and gives very little in return. In your 20s, it's all good and rosy. You can eat anything you want without putting any weight on. You're always healthy. You never fall sick when you're in your 20s, right? You have a six-pack without even having to go to the gym. I mean, I had a six-pack all the way till I was like 27. Never hit the gym once in my life. You can go clubbing, and I mean, not what the youngsters do today, right? You could go proper old school binge drinking 4 times a week. And you'd be out till 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And all you needed in the morning really was a full fat Coke and a fry up or a McDonald's breakfast. And that was it. You were sorted. Ready to go for the day, right? You could shag like a steam train. Tiredness was the type of thing you read about in books because you never really experienced it. And then one day, you're 21, you're 29 and you go to bed and you wake up the next day, you're 30 and none of your clothes fit you. By age 30, reading the menu in a restaurant is enough that you have to loosen a notch on your belt. You haven't even ordered anything. You want to order a takeaway, fair enough, but better go on Amazon Prime first, right, and order a pair of jeans one size bigger for express deliveries for next morning, because whatever you're wearing now isn't going to fit the next day. By your mid-30s, you start sprouting some grey hair, a little bit on the temples, some on the beard, and you're like, ladies do like a silver fox, don't they? So you're kind of confident. You kind of embrace them. I used to count them, age 29 or 30, I think I had 7. I was like, yeah, I'm getting, that's maturity. The other issue is, as you progress through your 30s, your baldness pattern start progressing too. And what's frightening is that the hair that vanished from the top of your head seem to reincarnate everywhere else on your body. Like hairy shoulders, never had any. You're in your 30s. That's a new thing now. Embrace your new you. Hairy back. Yep, that's brand new. Just arrived. It's you now. It's yours. Enjoy. And we're not even talking about those weird, thick hair that appear in random location, like ears, nostrils, eyebrows. What is that all about? Why are they so long? Why do you even need hair growing here or here? Why do they need to be so thick? Why do they need to be so long? And you can buy the best trimmer the market offers, right? And you can do your eyebrows as many times as you want. I guarantee you there's always one hair there doing the Matrix thing, just like weaving and waving and bobbing and avoiding the clippers. And there's always that one thick, just pointing randomly like it's trying to contact the mothership. It's such a good look. And I think by my mid-30s, I had more hair on the floor when I was done trimming my nose, ears and eyebrows than when I was doing the top of my head. It's just absolute sadness, right? And then by the time you get to your mid-40s, you have a beer belly. We call it a dad bod, but let's be honest, it's beer. You have a couple of spare chins, which for some reason you take along with you everywhere you go. Don't know why. Your face has started drooping. You've got deep wrinkles. Like, what is that all about? What's this? It's not nice. It is not nice. And then one morning in your mid-40s, you'll be in that weird, dignified position, with a foot on the toilet bowl or the bathtub, like hunched, trying to do some manscaping. And you'll spot something shiny on your sack and you'll be like, well, it looks like glitter. It can't be glitter because nothing glittery has been near your groin for several years now, right? And then you realize that's your first silver pube. That is a shock to your system. Nothing says old fossil like a full coat of silver curlies, right? Your first grey pube, it's a devastating moment in your life. It's you're not getting old anymore. You are old. And you have all those thoughts in your head. It's just not the physical appearance. It's not just all the illnesses, all the aches. It's also all your thoughts. You realize you probably have peaked quite a while back physically. But you realize you may also have peaked in your career. And so you start wondering what's next. Did you pick the right career? Is the career you have now the career you wanted? Has it turned up the way you imagined it? Is there still headroom for progress within the company you work for or another company? And sure, you have the experience, but I don't think companies nowadays pay that much attention to experience. You have experience, but you also pulled a muscle in your thumb last night, just changing channel on the remote. There are younger studs queuing up at reception, applying for your jobs, right? They're in peak physical condition, they're cheaper than you, and they can take all the abuse from HR and incompetent bosses. And you know why they can deal with all those abuses? Probably because they have 150 years worth of student loan to repay by now, and the rent on the broom cupboard, their rent in city centre goes up by 50 quid a week. So they'll accept anything really, any abuse. They'll do your job for half the price. They are a resilient and motivated bunch. So what are you going to do? You're still 20 years away from retirement age. Have you really peaked? Are you really going to carry on doing what you're doing right now for the next 20 years without pay rise, without progression? It's crazy. Is it the only thing you have to look forward to? And what's the alternative? You're gonna start a new job in say an industry where you don't have any experience. You're in your late 40s, early 50s, and you've become a one-trick pony. What are you gonna do? Start anew somewhere else? Start afresh? Work for minimum wage? Work for an 18-year-old spotty teenager of a supervisor? It's crazy. Sure, if you start at the bottom, there'll be headroom to progress. You might make it a trainee assistant manager by the time you retire, right? The fact is, by the time you hit 50, you've become completely invisible to recruiters. They're not interested in an old fart like you. You need 3 pairs of glasses, one to see where you're going, one to write, one to read. You're getting confused with anything electronic. Meanwhile, the dude fresh from university next to you is simultaneously typing on his iPad, his iPhone, and his iMac, he looks like a bloody octopus. Recruiters don't want you when you get to your 50s. That's it. You just get what you can. On top of that, you're gonna really go and work for minimum wage. You probably have a mortgage to pay still. You probably have a couple of loans, right? That car is probably on finance. Yeah. Kids are maybe still at uni. Obviously, they're drowning. They need help. You need to help the family. You need to keep the family financially afloat. It looks like as you age, you get more and more questions, more and more doubts, and less answers. You realize at some point that you have more time behind you than you have in front of you. Oh, that's kind of scary, isn't it? Like, that is scary. That big clock is ticking. Nothing is going to stop it. Nothing is going to slow it down. And you start realizing that all of the dream and project and plans you've had since you were a kid, a teenager, a young adult, they're slowly slipping away. Some of them have already gone way out of reach. You're not going to be able to do everything you wanted to do. You're not going to be able to fulfill all of your dreams, all of your fantasies. Yeah. How about that for a reality check? Like you wake up and you're like, I'm running out of time. You probably will never be the CEO of your own multi-billion company. You're 49, 50. It's probably too late to rebuild the Roman Empire and retake Constantinople. You've missed your time slot, man. Somebody else will have to do it, right? There won't be a statue of you in near Hagia Sophia. You might never own the mansion you dreamed about as a young adult. You might never end up with the car collection you thought you were going to have as a kid. You might not have the money or the time to visit every single country that was on your bucket list. A 3-day trek in a Peruvian jungle to end up in Machu Picchu sounds great. You should have done it when you were 20 or 30. You in your mid-40s or early 50s. You broke your toe getting out of bed this morning, like you literally need a Red Bull to tackle a staircase, a set of stairs. You're not gonna survive that trip. It's too late. You're not in shape anymore. You're going to realize you're going to have to give up on a lot of your dreams, a lot of aspiration, a lot of project. And that hurts, really. You wonder where all of that time is gone and what you've done with it. The realization hits hard. You're way past your physical peak, and yet today is the best you'll be until the rest of your life. Slowly, abilities are taken from you, incrementally. You don't see a difference. You don't feel a difference day to day. But there's only one direction you're going, it's downhill. What a privilege, right? Women do go through this type of crisis too. I mean, theirs usually start in their 30s. Do they want a career or do they want a kid? Do they want a career or a second kid? Can they juggle both motherhood and a demanding career? It's a conundrum, isn't it? Are they going to accept a less ambitious job, but prioritize time with the kids? Or are they going to go full girl boss, work 80 hours a week, fly all around the world, printing money, but knowing full well that the kids are being raised by grandma or some nannies or some childminder because mom is never home? It's not an easy choice for women either, isn't it? When you think about it. It's just decisions, what to do. You're in your 30s, you probably have done a fair few small jobs. What's your career? What's your next step? Can you juggle a career, a husband, and kids? Can you do all three perfectly? Are you going to have to compromise on one or the other? And then, late 40s, early 50s, for both men and women, you're gonna go at some point through a bit of hell, right? Men go through andropause, women go through menopause, hormones are all over the place, emotions run high, self-esteem just goes missing. And combined with all the problems we've just mentioned, it's basically the perfect storm. And I really hope some couple out there can get through that together, communicate, talk openly about their fears, their doubts, and make adjustments together, make plans together. I think there's very little in life that can be worse than having two people living under the same roof, but suffering in silence in different rooms. Communication is key. Talk, people. Just talk. Help one another. A lack of communication at that stage in life will lead to one of the two of you potentially leaving. What are you going to do then? You have all of those problems and suddenly you wake up single. Welcome to hell. All right? Imagine being in your home with your beer belly, your two chins, your stubborn eyebrows. They now feel like barbed wire for some reason. You have doubts regarding your career. You fear the dwindling opportunities presented to you. You're starting crossing some of the items on your bucket list. But now, hey, you're single on top of that, all right? And from a man's perspective, I think it's devastating. It's devastating for several reasons, but I think one of the main ones is that men need to be able to identify with something. They need to be able to relate to something. And those things are usually a career or a family, right? For many men out there, a career is a calling, it's not a job. It's not what they do, it's who they are. For me personally, and I'll admit openly, that it caused me trouble in the past. I never worked in the nightclub industry. I was a nightclub manager. It wasn't a job. It wasn't what I was doing. It's who I was. It was a lifestyle. It was a calling. I'm not working in a nightclub. I'm not running a nightclub. I'm a nightclub manager. It was me. It's the same, I think, for the majority of men out there who are lucky enough to have a job they enjoy. And sometimes life changes, you start a family and you need to let that lifestyle go. And it's not easy, but you have to do it for the stability of your family. So you remove your hooks from there, you're not a family, you're not a career man anymore. But you put your hooks back into the family bit. You're now a family man. Sure, you do a job you might be hating, or at least you don't love as much as the career you had before. But you have a family to protect. You have a family you have to provide. It feels good. It feels good. It's not something, you would have imagined in your 20s, but okay, I'm a family man now. I need to take care of those people. I need to bring them stability. And if it brings them stability, it will also bring me stability and peace of mind, right? It's change, but you get used to it, right? It's not as prestigious as reconstituting the Roman Empire. But being a good husband and a good father figure, it's still a fine legacy nevertheless. You might not end up with your name in history book or have a a statue somewhere or a road named after you. But the people who were close to you and who know you will be like, yeah, he was a good husband, he was a good father. It's good taking on board. But imagine if that's gone. Right? In your 40s, 50s, your job is shit. Now your wife is leaving you. Man, there's no lying, right? You are going to stare at an abyss of despair and sadness. There's not enough word in the English vocabulary to describe the melancholy that will drape around your shoulders like a cold bedsheet. They say time is a healer, but time is taking its time. You're not going to heal very quickly. You are going to hurt for a fairly long time, my friend. And did you know men can actually die of a broken heart? All humans can, but apparently it affects men more than women. It's called Takotsubo syndrome. And it's literally that. You die of a broken heart. Your heart is overwhelmed by stress hormones that part of it stops working as intended. Fibers start splitting, your heart can't do its job properly, and you end up with cardiac arrest. You end up with heart failure. Scary, isn't it? When you think about it. All the stress we carry as men inside of us and what it can lead to. And okay, your wife's gone, you have a shitty job, you have nothing you can identify or relate to. You're old, you're lost, you're lonely. You're not a career man, you're not a family man, you have lost your sense of purpose. I think that's another thing important to men. What is my role on earth? What's my destiny, right? You no longer have a mission to fulfill. And thus, for weeks, you're going to mope around the house and you're going to mope in town. And everything will remind you of her. You know, you're going to have a cup of tea. Well, she used to love having tea with biscuits. Right? She couldn't have a cup of tea without biscuits. And you're there with your lone cup of tea on the sofa on your own with no biscuits. And it's all you'll be thinking about. Funny cat videos on YouTube. That was her jam. You'd watch together. Right? You can't even watch that thing on your own now. It's supposed to be funny. It's going to bring you to tears. Hairpins. You'll find hairpins in the most improbable places for years. Years. You will miss her terribly, you know. Whether the split was amicable or whether she proper stabbed you in the back. You'll miss her a lot. I have that theory that love and hatred are actually related. They're very, very close to each other. You know, they're kind of siblings. They live in the same house, but they're in separate rooms. And you'll hate her and you'll love her in equal measure. If you don't like someone, that person has no importance. If you hate somebody, there's something there. That person is important, right? And because you'll be lonely, you'll be trying to insert yourself in some social settings. And you'll go out in a house party or a bar somewhere, a concert, whatever. You'll be invited at a social event. And you'll go because you'll be very happy to get away from your house. And as soon as you'll be there, you'll be overwhelmed by the noise and the chaos. It's far too much. You'll also discover that it's possible to feel desperately lonely in the middle of a huge crowd. How about that? So you'll go back home and the silence there will be deafening, only interrupted by all of the negative thoughts and melancholy just floating around in your skull. The first few weeks or the first few months are going to be so uncomfortable. I'd love to tell you it's going to be easy, but it's not. So you'll be like, I'm going to start spending time with friends. You've been spending a lot of time in a long-term relationship, so you've neglected that friendship. You don't have a lot of friends left. We talk about the male loneliness epidemic out there. Well, welcome. You've just stepped into it. Welcome to the club. Yeah, congratulations. Another crisis to solve for you. You have a handful of mates left. Half of them are married. And there's no way Paul's wife is going to let him go out and get drunk with a loser like you. Right? And Paul will not argue because he knows happy wife is a happy life. And he knows the sofa is not comfortable enough to justify challenging the boss of the house. The other half of your mates, well, they're available. They're like you, they've been dumped, they're clueless, they're lost. I mean, you can take them out for a drink. You might have a laugh on that night, being equally lost, one on one. It might be good for the soul, to be honest. But they're drinking buddies, right? They're not oracles. They don't have any answers. And at the end of the night, you're gonna go home alone to your empty flat, your empty house, and your empty bed. Everything you'll do as a distraction will distract you for the length of that distraction. And as soon as that's done, sadness and melancholy just come back. At some point, you're going to decide that it's time for you to get laid. That's what you need. You need to get laid. And you'll realize very quickly, woman your age can smell desperation from a mile away. You'll be queuing up at the cloakroom of that nightclub, and women in their 40s and 50s on the dance floor will start looking at one another like, my God, one of them is coming, right? Women in their 40s and 50s don't want to do status read, still trying to figure these things out, right? They want somebody who has figured it out, right? They don't want to mother a man-child. You're not ready for them. They don't want you. You could probably find a lady your age that is as lost as you are. Imagine the negative energy in the room, though. Like it's probably dense enough to create a black hole that could swallow the entire planet. It's probably too risky of an experiment if we're honest with one another, right? Just avoid that. So obviously, you're going to try and run after a younger girl, right? You're balding. You have many chins. You have the physique of a melting candle. But you have a car and a house. That might impress some of them, then. And it will work. You'll feel awesome bringing her home that night. And the sex, so am I. As soon as you walked in, you shoved her on the sofa, you ran upstairs, you opened the man drawer. You know the man drawer, the secret man drawer. You popped a couple of Viagra. And you just shagged her like a steam train for hours. You'll be proud of yourself as well, man. You go you, self high five, tap on the back. You show that young pup how all dogs do, you know? You roll the clock back, best shag in a decade. Your wife did not let you do that to her, right? And you know why? Because when you're in your 40s and 50s, nobody has time for a 5 hours shag. You worked all day, you knackered, you have to get up early in the morning, bring the kids to school, do the laundry, do the shopping, go to work. Like, you're in your 40s, late 40s, early 50s. Sorry, dude, but 15-minute tops, belly to belly, that's the norm, right? 5-hour shagathons are not normal at your age. But you've done it, right? You've done it with Mandy. You rocked Mandy's world for 5 hours, or whatever her name is. And you'll fall asleep floating on your post-orgasmic cloud. And you'll still be on your post-orgasmic cloud till Tracy, or whatever her name is, wakes you up and go, "Hey, daddy, time for round 32, juice me up." By then, Viagra's bugged off out of your system, right? And your noodle is well and truly dead, my friend. And you'll assure her it never happened before, right? While feeling all the pride and self-esteem that you gathered last night escape through your fingers like sand. And that's a lesson, right? Shagging for 5 hours in your late 40s or early 50s is not normal. You've only managed those 5 hours because your weenus was chemically enhanced. And now it's going to take several days before your nervous system and your little worm recover from all those shenanigans. Your young lover, though, she'll be disappointed. She's in her 20s. She's got absolutely no responsibilities, right? 5 hours for her is like mild foreplay. But there you go. Difference of age. That's there for you. So, as soon as Stephanie, or whatever her name is gone out of the house, you'll feel lonely. You'll feel empty inside. Nothing's been fixed. You are still emotionally unavailable. You are still emotionally dead. You miss your wife. The sex is fun when your young bit of fluff comes home, but the fun only lasts while the sex lasts. And as soon as that's over, all of your thoughts are back on you. The novelty will wear even faster when you realize you have absolutely nothing in common with Stacy, or whatever her name is. When you're not shagging, you have absolutely nothing to say to one another. Last time you tried to talk to her about the state of the economy, her eyes started glazing over within 15 seconds, and then she actually lost consciousness. And when it's the other way around and she's talking to you, she's using so much slang. She may as well just speak Cantonese to you. You just don't understand anything. So you are, right? You're stuck in a dead-end job without your traditional role as head and protector of a family. Your physical and mental health waning. What's your role on this planet? What's your legacy going to be? What are you going to do with the rest of your life? And many men go through this, you know. Men account for 3/4 of all suicides. That's how hard life hits us. That's how much we worry. That's how much burden we carry on our shoulders. And we don't talk a lot about it. We probably don't talk enough about it. And unfortunately, I don't have any advice to give. I don't have any magic remedy or solution. The loneliness could be partially alleviated by finding a hobby you can share with people your age. Fishing, hiking, golfing, building miniature trains, whatever floats your boat, really. I mean, you can go all the way. Your ex-wife is no longer home to laugh at your hobbies or berate you for them, so do it. All right? Buy a motorbike. Sell your practicable repmobile and buy an unpracticable car. Buy a sports car, buy a coupe. It doesn't need to be expensive, right? Let's be honest. If you're in your 50s, you have about 10, 15 years maximum of you being able to get in and out of a coupe. After that, you'll be too stiff. So your Toyota Celica, you buy it now or never, all right? Now is the time. Just buy a tattered old MX-5 and join the Owners Club. They're apparently a very fun bunch. Buy yourself £500 Star Wars Lego set you so badly wanted, right? You'll eat beans on toast for the next 2 months to pay for it, but it's worth it. You do you. You focus on your own happiness for a while. It's not going to plug all of the gaps in your life, but it's going to start plugging some of the little ones. How about joining the gym and get swole? Like, it's very trendy nowadays for middle-aged men to go on TRT and make some gains, right? It will not make you look younger and more beautiful. Just a word of warning. You'll still be old and you'll still be ugly, but you'll be in shape. And that's an improvement, right? All that exercise might help you with your depression, to be honest, because you are depressed. You're not going to admit it to yourself. We don't depress, us men. You are bloody depressed, like clinically depressed. So all that gym, all those good hormones and enzymes floating in your bloodstream, it might actually start curing that depression. And then you'll have all of the long-term benefit, health-wise and mobility-wise, right? So a diet and a gym membership might not be a bad investment at your age. It may even do you good for your self-confidence, right? When you start replacing your bingo wings by some nice triceps, right? Might do you good. It might actually it might actually help you not remaining a repellent to all the women you try and approach. So yeah, there's that. Be careful though. Don't go all the way. Like, don't let all those gains and don't let the gym become your whole your whole personality, because then you just, all those gains, all that progress you were doing with women, you're gonna lose that. They don't care about vascularity and how much testosterone you inject and how much you can bench, and it's not their stuff, right? You're in shape. She will appreciate you in shape, right? Rather than look like a melted candle. But if it's your whole life, she won't be interested. Whilst you'll never fulfill all of your dreams, fantasies, and projects, you need to acknowledge that they were never realistic in the first place. That hurts too, right? But when you are young, a teenager, young adult, all of those dreams, those plans, those ambitions, you manufacture enough of them for several lifetimes. And now you're at the time when you have to be realistic about it and go, okay, I could have become Jeff Bezos in other circumstances, but Jeff Bezos has done it. So give up on that one, right? Jeff Bezos has out-Bezosed you. He's done it first, okay? But what you can do is maybe focus on achievable targets and projects. Small holidays, road trips, DIY project, things that you can achieve in short to medium term. Your targets have to be smart, right? They have to be achievable, they have to be measurable. Do that. Start with little things. They alone will be worth the shot of dopamine you'll get every time you finish one of those. I guarantee you that. Every time you overcome a little challenge you set for yourself, every time you finish a little project, might not be huge, might only be a fraction of what you were dreaming 20 years ago, but it will do you good. You can't give up on life, it's too early. Sure, you have more of your life behind you than in front of you, but you still have several decades in front of you, right? 2 or 3? You can't just sit on your bum and just give up. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but you have to start planning and moving and living. I can't help you with your legacy, your career. You have to figure that one out. I understand nobody wants to restart from scratch at 50, but I also understand nobody wants to be stuck in a dead-end job for the next 20 years, right? Maybe stick to your horrible job for a while, just for the stability of it, the stable income. Start a side gig. How about that? Start a side gig. Maybe you're good at working wood. Maybe you're good at working steel. Maybe you're pretty good at craft. Maybe you've accumulated enough skills or knowledge in your career that you could become a consultant. So maybe start a side gig, right? At first it's at the weekend. And if it starts bringing a little income, maybe one day you can decide, okay, this is going to be my main income. From now on, I work for myself. And you'll still have to deal with a lot of the brown stuff on a daily basis. But at least it'll be your brown stuff, not somebody else's brown stuff. And I think that's an improvement in life, right? When you're young, you are stress resistant, you fear nothing. In your late 40s, early 50s, your proclivity at accepting new daunting challenges and risks has definitely diminished. Yet, there are still plenty of people out there in their 40s and 50s who go crazy. They go all out. They sell the house and they just buy a boat, or they go and live in a different country. They change lifestyle, He was working in the financial sector in London, but now he's herding sheep somewhere in Romania and he's way happier. There are options. If you're ready to take some risks, and if you're in potentially, in a position where you can take some risk, you can drop everything and move. I once read a ship is at its safest when it's at port. But staying in a port is not what the ship was built for in the first place. Deep, right? But I've always enjoyed that sentence. So I'm not telling you to move to Thailand now, but there are options. You don't see a lot of options now. It's you're hurting too much. It's too new. It's too raw. You're hurting, you're confused. Work on yourself. At some point, some slivers of answers will appear. Start working on you, on the little details, the little things. You're looking at your life and it's a mess. You are surrounded by the ruins of your broken dreams and shattered relationship. Right? Everywhere you look, it's broken. Well, start repairing what you can repair. Just give it a good sweep first. Repair that chair. Mend that table. Put a roof tile back on. Incrementally. Start with the easier things. And you'll gain confidence, and then you can tackle bigger and bigger challenges to a point where you can actually rebuild. You might not be able to rebuild what you had, but you can build something at least suitable, if not equally as good, right? How about love and companionship then? She left you, she betrayed you, she robbed you of your traditional role in your life. I don't know what happened, right? The central part of your personality and daily life, it's gone. Your self-esteem is shattered. You can't trust anybody as far as you can throw them. And you can't throw them very far because you're out of shape, right? So what to do? Well, if there's still love between the two of you, and listen to that now, if there's still love between the two of you, that breakup might do you good. It might open new perspective. If there's still love between the two of you, there's hope. At the moment you're hurting and you're biting when you're on text with one another on the phone, But if you're still on the phone on a regular basis, even though you're biting, you're still caring, right? Right? A little bit of distance, a break, might give you just the distance you need to gather your thoughts, and same for your partner. And then you can maybe sit one day and discuss and have all the chat and argument and negotiation you avoided all those years. An argument, if it's constructive, an argument is not a bad thing. It's a readjustment. It's needed. And I've made that mistake, I've made that mistake. I was avoiding all argument. I was like, oh, happy life, happy wife, no argument. Every time the conversation wasn't going my way, okay, yeah, you're right. But all it did, that problems were never solved. Compromises were never achieved. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. A good shouting match might have actually yielded positive result and some hopefully angry make-up sex, right? So if there's still love between the two of you, don't be a stupid knuckle dragger. Don't you dare giving up. Fight for it. The two of you. Fight for it. And you might be able to get back in a position where you can go on date together, rediscover the joys of spending some time together, and who knows, at some point move back together on a house not built on sand but built on rocks, on solid foundation. What if there's no love left to salvage? Then you need to move on. It's not easy, but you're gonna have to move on. Accepting it will take time. I believe you never really fully recover from a betrayal, or you never really recover from a hard breakup. It's like you never really recover from the death of a loved one. You learn to live with the fact it has happened, but it's there. It'll never be repaired. But eventually you learn to live with that situation, right? And you learn to live with the wound, and you need to go forward. Short term, if you want adrenaline and chaos, may I suggest a Belgian Malinois? You will age 10 years inside of 2. You will never be bored again. Right? So, pros and cons. If you'd rather have cuddles in front of the television with something nice and fluffy, how about the Maine Coon? On the downside, it's probably going to eat your sofa, shred your dining table, and you will find cat hair everywhere, all of the time. But you'll get cuddles on the sofa and in bed. So again, pros and cons. I'm not saying all of my advices are perfect, right? But I think I bring some hope, maybe, right? I completely agree. There's not much point living adventures and making memories if you don't have anybody to share them with and reminisce about them later with. At the same time, please just don't go and shack up with the first person you meet just because you're horny and lonely. Right? 2 horny person in a house that share nothing in common except for itchy bits and a lot of hormones will not enrich one another. They will not bring anything positive to one another. You'll just waste more time. How long are you going to waste time staying with somebody you don't love? A month? 6 months? A year? 5 years? Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not in love, but could be worse. The clock is ticking, right? If it's not love, move on. If you're in your late 40s, early 50s, don't play around. Don't be in a situationship. You are with a person you love, or just time to go. Next. Life is too short for faking it or pretending. If love has to happen, it will happen, and probably when you're the least expecting it. If you've just gone through a breakup, that should not be your priority, unless there's a chance you can salvage your ex-relationship, right? Your one main priority is you. You need to keep your focus on yourself. You are your first responsibility. There's only one of you, and you are the custodian of it. That's scary, right? You're in charge of you. Yeah. That's the most adult thing you'll do. Okay? There's only one of you. You can't afford to lose him. So take care of it. People may have let you down. That's life. Don't let yourself down. You need yourself the most. Keep strong, buddy, and just keep on going. And hopefully, brick by brick, you'll manage to rebuild something for you. All I have to say is just good luck. And chat. Talk to your partner, talk to your mate, talk to a therapist. We know, you and me, you carry so much weight on your shoulders, because we all do. And we tend to, women think we whinge a lot. But we never whinge about what's important, isn't it? We just carry it on our shoulders and we suffer in silence. Just share the burden. There are plenty of groups out there. Share the burden, man. And yeah, good luck. That's all I have to say. You take care. Bye-bye.